Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the webinar, Business Processes and Workflow Automation. We'll get started in about 30 seconds, I think. There's still quite a few people joining. Okay, so who are we? I am Damien Edwards, Business Development Manager of Interface. With me I have Andy Naylor, our Development Manager.
Hi guys, if you've got any questions throughout the webinar, please just ask them in the questions toolbar and we will get them answered at the end of the webinar.
I think we've got quite a few people on today, I think about 250. So if we don't get to all your questions today, I apologise. We'll try and answer them if we have time at the end. If we don't answer your questions, we'll leave our contact details up at the end and you can email those questions over to us. So we are Bitrix, we're partners of Bitrix24. We're located in Sheffield in the UK and New York, and we manage all pre-sales support questions, implementation work, customization work, and if you choose a self-hosted version, we're also able to provide a hosting solution for that, and we provide a kind of ongoing premium support service to clients. So what is Bitrix24? For those that don't know, a collaboration suite of over 35 business tools, approaching 1 million users, businesses using the system, and 3.5 million individual users. Available as both a cloud and a self-hosted solution. Prices for the cloud starting from $99, with the self-hosted solution currently a one-off price of $3,299. So what are business processes? The business process module within Bitrix24 allows organizations to execute and monitor workflows on objects such as documents, CRM items like leads and deals, tasks, and HR items such as leave requests and expenses. Bitrix includes a very advanced tool, editor tool with simple action blocks from which processes can be constructed. There's essentially two types of business process, sequential and state-driven, and Andy will show you what both of these look like.
Okay, yeah, so if we go into our Bitrix environment and look at the first example. So this is a sequential business process. A sequential business process performs a series of consecutive actions on an item from a predefined start point to a predefined end point. So, for example, on this sequential business process here, when a business process is triggered, it triggers from the start and then it flows down the branch, performs any tasks that you've brought in through an action block. For example, on this case, it's an email message. And then it flows straight through as long as it meets the criteria, and it ends at the end point, and that's when the business process will terminate. So that's a sequential business process. Now if we look into a status-driven business process, now a state-driven business process does not have a start and end point. It has a series of statuses. So each one of these statuses can trigger a child process. So the example that we're looking at on the screen at the moment is an example for a document. So if you look at this, it's got a status of approval, and then if we click into here, you can see that a sequential business process is inside that state.
Okay. Okay, let's have a look at how processes are managed. We'll look at how they can be run firstly, how they can be created, and then how a business process can be triggered. So where can we run business processes? On the cloud, we can run them on HR and admin modules, so requesting leads, submitting expenses, that type of process. Within the CRM, so most CRM modules, including leads, deals, contacts and companies, we can run them on documents, very common use, and we can run them on the lists module as well. On the self-hosted, we're able to run them on additional modules. Essentially, we can run them on any entity within the system, so that would include things like tasks, user profiles. So I think we recently created a process on a user profile that created a notification, I think, when a profile field was edited.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So the self-hosted version, you do have access to all the source code, which does give you a little bit more flexibility on where you can trigger these business processes off. So recently we had a client request a business process to be run when a user edited their user profile. So what that basically did, when the user edited their profile, clicked on save, that triggered a business process off to notify one of the employees that somebody had edited their user profile.
Okay, great. So let's have a look at a couple of these areas on the site.
Okay, so referring back to the Bitrix site, the HR and admin tools are commonly processed on the activity stream. So we can click on processes, and then these are, except for new projects, these are the standard configuration of business processes that come with Bitrix, and this is where you can run these processes. So for example, if I click on leave approval, we will touch upon leave approval a little bit more in detail a little later on in the webinar. But as you can see, the user can fill in these required fields, press send, and that will trigger a business process off.
Okay.
So another key area for business processes, as Damien mentioned, is the CRM module. So these are available in contacts, companies, deals, and leads. So if we look in a company, scroll down to a company. Now you can see that there is a business processes tab. Now this business process tab does appear, like I say, in each of the modules specified. And if you click on business processes and then click on run, you can see one of the business processes here. And now this is a business process that does have a series of parameters. You can see here that you can select an employee, and you can have different fields such as files or calendar events.
So we're creating a project for this company, presumably. We won an order, and now we want to create a job or a project for this company.
That's it, yeah. And you can specify these fields within the business process, and this is where you would run this business process for this company.
Okay.
Okay, and then if we go into one of the document drives, so I've gone into a work group here and clicked on this document drive. Now, one of the main importance for the document drives is that business processes are enabled. So all you need to do is click on Configure Business Processes, and you can see here that this must be ticked. So once this is ticked, then you will be able to see that this business process link does appear in the menu. So if you click on here, again, you can see the standard business processes that appear in a standard Bitrix configuration.
So these are shipped with the product. These are the standard processes. We haven't created any custom ones here. These are the standard ones that you all have available on the cloud or on the self-hosted.
Yeah, and if you did want to create them here, then this is where you would click on create.
Okay.
So to run a business process in a document drive, it's basically, if you go into find a file, and then you can see here, and click on business processes. You can see here the list of business processes to run. So if, for example, if we clicked on two-stage approval, you can see here that this then provides you with the parameters to fill out for who's going to vote on that.
Okay, so this would send it to my line manager, and then if they approve it, sends on to my department manager, and then if they both approve the document becomes published and available to everybody to see.
That's correct. Yes. Yeah. So this is basically where you do run the business processes. So now I think if we go back to the presentation.
Okay. So how do we create a business process? So Bitrix includes a very, very advanced visual editor tool for building business processes. It's a simple drag and drop technology and includes over 40 pre-built action blocks. So Andy will now create for us a simple process. I think we're going to do one in the CRM on a deal, and it's going to look at the status of a deal. So depending on what status the deal is at, it'll run different processes.
Okay, yeah, that's correct. So first of all, we'll look at the deals. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a business process that is triggered on a deal stage update. So we're going to look at when a deal stage gets changed to spoken, a deal stage gets changed to promised, and a deal stage gets changed to closed won. So to find where you do the business processes for CRM items, if you go into settings and then click on automation and business processes, you can see here this is where you would create a business process, and you can see existing templates for the CRM items as lead, contact, company and deal.
Okay.
So in this case, we're going to create a template for the deal. So I can create update on stage change. So an important thing to know on these business processes is that you can run them in 3 different ways. So you can run when a deal gets added to the system, which is if you were to tick this box. You can run when a deal gets edited, and that's any form of editing. So you could change a name of a deal, a contact in a deal.
So any field that exists in a deal, if that's changed, updated, this process runs.
That's correct, yes. And as we're going to find out in a moment, when we create that deal, it will only run if it meets the criteria of what you set in that business process.
Okay.
And then finally, the third way of triggering it is if you were to leave these 2 blank, and that would mean it would have to get triggered manually.
Okay.
Okay, so on this case, we're going to when a deal is changed. So if we click on save, and you can see here on the right-hand side on the right-hand side, you can see all the action blocks here. So if we click on, so you can see here that you can modify a document. And I think one of the important things is to know is that it's not a document as we would know, like say for example a Word document.
Not a Word document, yeah. Okay, so it's like it's an item within the system, which could be a lead or a deal, or it could be a task or a work group or something like that. It's not a document as a Word document.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. So in this case, what we're going to do is we are going to check for the deal stages. So we just need to look at constructions, and I'm going to bring in a condition to this. So what a condition does is basically look at certain criteria that you set in each branch, and then once each branch has passed that criteria, it will continue with the action blocks below that. Okay. So we can check on this if we click on. So we were going to look at the spoken stage. So we can see here that all we need to do is find the stage in a deal, and once it's equal to spoken, we can click on save, and then we will create another one.
So we're going to create three branches, spoken, promise, and won, which represent the three different stages of the deal. And we can see that here that we can select from that drop down any of the fields that exist within the deal. And as we say, in this instance we're using the deal stage. Fairly common, a fairly common process you might run on a deal. Fairly simple process as well. I think it's a fairly simple process that most users can create themselves. It's not a standard process that exists. You should be able to create this yourself with a bit of help and documentation. Obviously, partners are available to help you create these sort of processes if you need that sort of help.
Okay, so what we've done here is we've already got some action blocks defined to just show you how it would work. So if we can move these into here.
So on this first branch, the first block is going to wait 7 days, and then we're going to book in a phone call. So essentially, we're booking a phone call for a sales guy to make a follow-up to the inquiry. So that's at the early stages of the deal. Later on in the deal, as it becomes promised, as we're expecting to potentially win the business, down the middle there we create a credit check, and there's a process to feed back from an accounts department as to whether this company is good for credit or not, so that we know whether we can take it forward. And then when we win the deal, below the one branch there, we've got an email notification and a system notification. So we'd get a pop-up notification within the system to say that as a sales manager, I'd get a pop-up notification say that one of my guys has won a deal, and I'd also receive a notification. So if I'm out on the road, I receive a notification as well. So it's quite a fairly simple process, I think. But
it is, yeah.
It's quite commonly very useful process.
And we are doing this on a deal. This can also be done on like lead stages. So you could, if you get a lead, you could then follow this trigger on to create a deal, and then so on and so forth. So it's a really good automation process, and it's really
do it on invoices, status of invoices, paid invoices, unpaid invoices, sent invoices, those sort of things.
Okay, so if we save this, and now if we go back into deals, what we can do is we can perform close deal and then closed one. So that should now trigger the business process, and you can see here that your team has a new sale. So that was the third branch of the business process we've just set up, and it would have sent an email to the responsible person, and then the notification to that person as well.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Okay.
So we've looked at where business processes can be created. We looked at how, indeed, you create a business process using the editor tool. So thirdly, really, we need to look at how those business processes can be triggered. So we did touch on it in that example. They can be triggered on creation, i.e. when a new item's created, when a new deal's created, when a new document's created, etc. They can be triggered on update, so when one of those items has been changed in any respect, that can trigger a business process to run. It can, of course, be run manually as well. We looked at HR processes like booking leave, and they run in the stream, and that's run manually when a form is completed and submitted. Similarly, we can run processes manually on companies in the CRM, and we can run a manual process on a document to get approval or feedback on a document. In addition to that, on the self-hosted, we can introduce an external trigger. So only available on the self-hosted, we could trigger a business process from an incoming email or something like an API call as well. So I think we're going to have a look at now that external triggering. So Andy's going to show us how an email such as support@yourdomain.com can run a business process to create a help desk ticket within the system. So this is only available on the self-hosted, but I think it's really useful to see.
Yeah, so as you'll notice, if you have been using the cloud or are using the cloud, that you might notice that this top panel here you have not seen before. Now this top panel is on the self-hosted, and it does offer you quite a lot more flexibility in what you can do onto the system. So you can see here that this is the control panel, and this is where you can control quite a lot of the features on the site. So in terms of creating these email triggers to trigger business processes, we can click in a mailbox, and in this case, like Damien said, you have a support@interface.com, so any email that gets sent into this address will trigger a rule. So if you look at this, so you can see here that we've got a rule set up that any email that gets sent to support@interface.com will create a help desk ticket. Mm-hmm. And I think it's quite important to note that the help desk is only available on the self-hosted platform.
Yeah, sure. Also, I think it's worth mentioning that regarding self-hosted, it is actually possible for partners. So it's a self-hosted product, so you can host it in-house, but it is actually possible for partners to be able to provide hosting solutions. So if you want to move on to this platform from the cloud, it's possible to do that and get it delivered to you as a sort of private cloud instance, essentially. So you don't have to look after that hosting side yourself.
Yeah, and just to touch back on this email trigger, you can actually trigger a whole new set of rules on the email. So we could actually perform, if an email gets received to any particular email that you require, it can create a activity stream post, it could create a lead, it could create a deal, and so on and so forth. So like I say, you have got quite a lot of functionality within self-hosted.
So you could actually create a series of email accounts that can run different roles and create different processes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so we've looked at where you can run a business process. We've looked at how you actually create business processes using the tool, and then what can be used to trigger those business processes. Let's just have a look at 3 live examples and quite common examples really of use of business processes. Start with projects. We'll look at a leave request, and then we'll look at a document approval as well. Okay. So in the activity stream, we have a new project form. This is a custom process. This isn't available in the standard product. It's very, very simple to create, and Andy will show you how the processes are created in the back end. I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to call it ABC project. I'm going to select myself as the project manager, and I'm going to add a series of other people into this project. I'm going to give it a deadline, end of the month, and we'll give it some content, and then we can add things like files. So as I say, this form is a custom form. You can add any number of fields you want to this form. I submit it, and because I've created this project, and I created the project, and I set myself as the project manager, it's myself that receives the notification. So I can see in my assignments here, I've created the project, I've assigned it to myself, and it's asking for me to approve the project. So before the process can run, I need to approve this. The notification, say that it's been approved up there. And if I go into my work groups now, see the project I've created. And if we click into the project, so the process has created for me a work group for this particular project. It's added me as the owner as I requested, and then it's added these other guys into the group. They'll receive a notification say that they've been added into this new project. This is a completely new work group. As you can see, the activity stream blank. What the process has done is added a couple of tasks into the project, and those could be assigned to any user within the project. And I think Andy's going to show you the process in the background that created this. It's a fairly simple process, but you can create these processes as complicated as need be.
That's correct, yes. And I think that one important thing to note on this is that on the self-hosted package, you can actually customize a work group a little bit further. So you can actually switch off things like the wiki, the lists, photos, conversations. Oh. So you've got a little bit more ability to customize the work group.
Okay, because some of this functionality across the top, as you say, the photos and lists and wiki and things like that, they're not required on all types of
That's it, yeah.
I think you can rename those as well. So
you can do
that. If we wanted to call tasks something different, we could do that. Okay. Yeah. Could we have a look at the business process that runs in the background?
We can, yes. So if we go into the processes again, and then click on here. So you can see here again, this is our custom workflow. They also have the standard workflows that come with the Bitrix system. So all these have a business process bit running behind them. But in this case, what Damien's just demonstrated is the new project. And first of all, the form that Damien filled out is, like Damien mentioned, is customizable. So we can click into settings and then workflow fields. And you can see here the ability to add your own fields. So you can see here that these are the ones that Damien filled out. You can add as many as you like or as little as you like. And there is quite a lot of different types.
So the nice thing about creating a project in this way is that you're creating projects in a structured way, and these fields can be made mandatory, so that the project can't be created without all that content going into the project at the beginning. So typically in most projects you probably have more fields than are available here, but it means that each project's set up in a structured way, the same each time.
And the good thing about all these fields is that all these fields will pass into the business process. So you can use them in emails, you can use them in notifications, and you can use them in, for example, if you wanted a title of a deal to be created with the project name. So you can do all sorts of things.
So things like the description of the project, that can pass into the description you use in the work group, or descriptions in tasks and things like that.
Okay, so we'll look at the business process behind this, and we'll click on here.
I think it's worth saying also that form, that particular form that's available in the stream has a permission setting, so you can define who has access to that. So when they click on that drop down for processes, not every user necessarily has access to that. You might not want all employees to be able to create new projects, so
that's correct.
Define permissions.
Mm-hmm. So you can see here the business process that was run on the new project. And first of all, once the form is submitted, it goes through an approval process. So if we look into here, and you can see here that the project manager is the person who can vote. So Damien selected himself, so that's why he got a notification in his own workflows. But that could be sent to anybody that you select as the project
normally
manager.
Be sent to a different person rather than yourself. Yeah, sure.
And as I mentioned before, if you would like the form elements to be included into a business process, it is simply a case of clicking on these 3 lines, and you can see here these are the fields that are created. So as Damien said, you could include the description.
Are these the fields from the form that I filled out?
Yes, that's correct, yes. So you can see the name of the project would be here, the description of the project would be here. So if you wanted to include the description,
we can pass that content along into any.
That's exactly it. So that's really, I think that's a really useful tool to use when you are creating your own business processes. So okay. And then following it down, following this branch down, you can see that a notification gets sent to all the users, a work group's created, and then all the members get added to the work group, and then the tasks are created.
Okay, there's 2 tasks that we saw within the work group, and I think you know, as we mentioned, this is fairly simple. It might be that your project has a lot more to it than this, and it might be that you need to create documents. It might be that you need to update items in the CRM. It might be that you want to add a message into a stream in a company in a CRM to say, look, this company, a new project's been created for this company. I think a stream is a standard action block. So we can. It might be that you want to create. You know, you might want to bring in a calendar event because we need to create a kickoff meeting for this project, and the calendar event you can see on the right is a standard action block. So, yeah, it's very good. Thanks.
Okay, so if I pass you back to Damien to go through the leave process.
Okay, yeah. So back in the activity stream, it's in the same location, and this one project was a custom process. Leave approval is a standard process that's built in. It may be that you need to do some configuration on it, but it's a fairly simple process. As a user, I go in, choose my dates. I have these dates off, and I'm going to select annual leave. If I want to, I can create a comment in there, and I can post that. So as we can see here, I create the request, and this is my manager, and it's now with my manager to approve or otherwise. If we go down to,
so if you go, just for example, your request will always sit under your My Requests section.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so you can see them over here. You can see them actually over here as well, can't you? So I can see pending items. So these are items that I need to action, CRM files, administrative workflows, and then I can see my requests. These are actions that I've created that I'm waiting on a response, essentially a response. So I can click in there and we can see this is the one that I created. So Michael Morris requests leave from these dates to these dates, and it's in progress. Now there's nothing I can do with this until my manager chooses to approve it or reject that. So can we have a look, Andy, have a look at the process. This one's a little bit more complicated, I think. But again, uses the standard action block, so it shouldn't be too difficult for most people to configure.
Yeah, I think something like the leave approval process can be, and is usually needed to be customized to suit your own business's needs. So, for example, in this, as Damien mentioned, the first area to look at is the select supervisor. So you can basically set the person who approves your leave to a supervisor level above you, and if you do not have a supervisor, then you can specify somebody to approve that leave, which would usually be in the HR department.
Okay, so this immediate supervisor, that's taken from the company structure. So we don't need to update this process when people change roles and move departments. We just need to make sure the company structure is up to date. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so once that's been approved, again, we've got another approval process here. The status gets set to approved, and the status gets set to rejected. And then you can see, much like the deal condition that we set up earlier, if the approval is accepted, it goes down the yes branch. If it's refused, it goes down the no branch. So in case of it being accepted, a notification is sent out, and then an entry is made onto the absence chart.
Okay, with one of those 3 different entry types, or absent or leave types.
That's exactly it, yeah.
Okay.
And a feature, I think, again, with the self-hosted is we recently built a module that allows you to insert a holiday allowance. So, for example, your company might have a different range of holiday entitlement. So if you've got 20 days leave per year, if Damien, for example, books 5 days off, then that will take 5 days off his allowance. It will show on his profile, so you've never got people asking how many days holiday have I got left. So I think it's quite a useful tool. And again, with the self-hosted, you've got that little bit more flexibility again.
Yeah, so this is an enhancement on the standard functionality, which you're able to do with the self-hosted.
Yes, and that includes, like, I think we included half days on that, didn't we?
Yeah, and I think you can manage how bank holidays work and things like that, and weekends, so you can book over a weekend without having to sort of book 2 sections before and after the weekend, and it's much more flexible. I think we also were able to provide like a widget so you can see who in the right-hand sidebar, see who's away, who's here, who's away on particular days. Yeah, so also sort of enhancements and improvements you can do with the self-hosted.
Okay, and I can pass you back to Damien to go through the document.
Okay, yeah, approval. So finally, a very common process would be approval of a document. So I'm going to go into a drive in the human resources group here. I've got a document about staff parties, and very easily I can run a process for approval of this document. So I'm going to select, shall I select myself again? So I'm going to request of myself that I approve this document. So when I run that and I go into my workflows again, please approve or reject the document. Obviously, in a real life situation, I'm sending this to a different person. But in this situation, I've requested to approve it. I can then go ahead and accept that document. Now that can do different things depending on what happens in the business process. It usually makes the document published and live for other users to be able to then access that document. So Andy will show you the process that's running behind.
Yeah, so again, if we go back into the business processes for this drive and click on the first approval, it's pretty similar in terms of the approval process, but I think what's important here is what we talked about earlier about triggering business processes off, because it's usually that you would trigger this sort of approval on a document being created in uploaded to a drive.
Okay. Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah, sure. Sorry. Yeah. So I ran it on a document that already existed in a drive, but typically it runs when somebody drags it into a folder.
That's exactly it.
So process automatically.
If you, for example, if you connected your desktop application from Bitrix up and dropped a folder in, that would then trigger a business process off, and it would usually mean that the document would need to be approved.
Yeah.
And once the document's approved, then the document would get published.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so that's I think 3 quite common examples of processes that give you something to think about. I think we can just look at, to start to finish up, what the difference between cloud and self-hosted is. There is some differences about what you're able to do. So most of the tools are available for both cloud and self-hosted. They both include the editor tool, and they both include processes for documents and HR and CRM items. I think the main difference and benefit of self-hosted is the option to run processes on extra modules such as tasks and user profiles, and also the ability to trigger any process externally by an email or an API call. So in summary, business processes can be run on a number of items, including docs, documents, CRM items, HR and lists. Bitrix24 includes a very good, simple drag and drop workflow creator, and business processes can be triggered either manually. They can be run in an automatic sense based on the condition of an item, and with a self-hosted solution they can be triggered by an email or an API call. So we've got some links. Prices there for self-hosted and cloud. Got a lot of documentation in there, particularly a lot of documentation on business processes.
Yeah, there's quite a few tutorials on the help desk for the business processes for you to get a clear understanding of how they all work.
Yeah, partners obviously can help you with training on this as well, and a lot of videos on YouTube give you an overview of some of the other processes that are available. So that's it. There's our contact details. If you've got any questions about sales or technical questions, you can contact either myself or Andy really on the email address or telephone numbers there. Let's see, I think we should probably got some questions. Let's see if we've got some questions. So we've got a little bit of time left, and we'll see if we can answer some of these. Okay, is it possible to build a workflow business process in the free version? Yeah, it is. I'd say all the nearly all the workflow tools are available in both cloud and self-hosted, and on the cloud includes the free version. So yeah, the workflow editor tools available in the free version.
Yeah, I think the one of the questions is, does the self-hosted version include the cloud options? Yes, all the cloud options are available in the self-hosted. It's just that the self-hosted does have a few more advanced functionality to it.
Okay, do you integrate with Spotify or any other e-commerce tools like Magento? We don't have built-in connectors with those e-commerce tools, but that would be a common integration that we would do for particularly with the self-hosted solution. So
yeah, so for example, on this case, we could, for example, if every order that comes through on your Magento platform, you could insert as a deal, and then you could report on those deals within Bitrix.
Okay, somebody's asked about audio not working and asked if we can send a presentation later. Yeah, we can. We'll send a link out by email so you can view again.
If you don't see the workflow functionality, in the in your cloud version, you just need to go to the workflow area underneath the services section on your left-hand menu, and then you can install the workflow directory. You'll get all the standard ones that we saw on the system, except the new project one that we had created.
Okay, is it possible to schedule the start of a process, e.g. second day of month? Andy, can we do that? Would that require some custom PHP, or is that, do you think that's...
I mean, the business process tool does actually have a like a time waiting.
Yeah.
It does have that. If you wanted to specify the second day of each month, you would just need to put a custom script in the PHP action block.
Okay. Are we sure that an email sent automatically by Bitrix24 is not detected by spam? So we're not sure. You know, different spam filters pick up different things, and it might be that you need to test that really. We've had a few people also saying that the sound quality has not been too good. I think we'll email out a link to a recording, so you can watch back later on. Hopefully it sounds better on the recording.
We've also had quite a few people ask about if there is a Zapier integration. Currently on Zapier there isn't a Bitrix24 integration, but we can use the other tools for the self-hosted, for example.
I think it might be available or becoming available. I think it might already be available now or coming available very soon. So do maybe stand by. Okay, is it better than Microsoft Projects package? Yes. It depends really. I think it depends what you want to do. I think Bitrix includes a whole range of tools that are not available on Microsoft Projects. So there's a lot more functionality in Bitrix than there is in Microsoft Projects. If you want to run very complicated projects, there might be some functionality in Microsoft Projects that does what you need it to do. So it would depend on the particular situation whether it's better or not better. there's a lot of other tools outside of the sort of projects area that are available, standard within Bitrix for managing sales and documents and HR, etc. So it's an all-round tool that can manage a whole series of areas of your business. Is there a way to collect electronic document signatures in a workflow process? There isn't integration with electronic document signatures systems as standard, but I think we've done an integration with DocuSign as one of those before. So it is possible to develop it, but it would require a bit of custom work, I think.
Our wiki is only available within workgroups. No, there's a site-wide wiki, and there's also individual workgroup wikis.
In the free cloud version, can I edit the custom fields I have? Yeah, nearly always. You can edit most of the custom fields in the free cloud version, yes.
With regards to enabling processes on documents, if you go into your drive, there should be a cog on the top right-hand corner, and then if you click on the cog, it should say Configure Business Processes. So if you click on the Configure Business Processes, then you can activate. There's a tick box that's just saying Activate.
Okay, you've asked for the URL links to be shown again. We'll send out an email with a link to the video and include those links as well.
With regards to can the workflow be presented in a Gantt chart, you can create tasks. The tasks module has a really good Gantt chart feature. So if you're going to create tasks with specific deadlines and dates, then you can view the tasks on the Gantt chart.
Okay, so a document or manual explaining items like variables, parameters, structures, etc. Yeah, there certainly is, and on those links, that you'll be able to find your way to the training for business processes that explains all that, or contact a partner.
When a document is published, where is it stored? It's usually stored in the place where, say if you're triggering a business process off in a particular drive, that document will get published in the particular drive that it's been uploaded to.
Okay, are there any more pre-made processes, e.g. sales processes for follow-up? I don't think there's actually too many pre-made sales processes, if any really, but maybe contact a partner or have a go at creating the process yourself using some of the videos and documentation. Can this tool accommodate bill of materials? I'm sure it can. In some respects, we'd need some more information about how that works. If you want to contact us with details of what you want to achieve, we can talk to you about that. Is timesheets and time tracking available on the free plan? No, I don't think it is. Okay, when I wanted to start a new process of validation, I got this message, can I run the workflow? Please make sure the workflow template exists and is set to auto start. I think, don't know more, you've got a bit more details on that. You could contact support maybe, or contact us with more details and we can try and answer that.
Can the workflow start sub-processes? You can basically, in a workflow, you can trigger, so say for example, we mentioned earlier that if you were to create a business process on a lead, you could then create a lead once it got marked as complete to create a deal, and then you could create a mark. to a deal, and then that would trigger a business process on a deal rather than a lead. So you can basically have a knock-on effect through different business processes.
Okay.
How does a wait 7 days parameter work? Well, it's basically in the business process you can set, there is a pause element. So if you paused, if you bring in the pause, I think it allows you to specify how long you wait in terms of hours and days, and then it basically waits for that 7 days, and then the business process is paused for that long, and then it will continue below whatever the action blocks are below.
Okay, I think that's about it. Apologise if the sound quality wasn't very good. We got some comments on the sound quality. We'll provide a video. We'll send out a link to that video. We'll include the links that we've provided as well to documentation and videos. And in future, we'll be doing some more webinars that might focus in more detail on specific areas. So maybe status-driven business processes was mentioned, maybe that could be focused on. So maybe in future webinars we'll focus on more specific areas.
Yeah, I think this is quite just an overview of the business process. We tried to go in a little bit of detail on some of them, but like Damien said, I think we will be doing webinars where we'll be focusing on just each action block and what they can do, just to so that you can use them moving forward.
Okay, thanks for your time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.